Good afternoon to you. Mark Sutton with HurricaneTrack.com here. Hurricane Outlook and discussion time. It is Thursday, the 26th of August, 2021, and we have some very important stuff to get to today regarding the new tropical depression that has formed, TD9 in the Caribbean Sea, and this has implications to become a very big problem for our friends along the central Gulf Coast over the next few days, and we're going to also talk about the rest of the tropics just a little bit, and then some activity in the eastern Pacific that is going to give our friends over in Mexico some problems as well. So let's jump right in on this Thursday afternoon. Take a look starting at the National Hurricane Center homepage. There's TD number 9. It was upgraded this morning. It's moving off to the northwest at 13 miles per hour over a very favorable location right now. The upper level winds becoming more favorable. It's over very warm water temperatures, high upper ocean heat content, and this has the potential to rapidly intensify, and that is mentioned in the discussion. It's rare that you see something go from a depression to potentially a major hurricane in some of the initial forecasts, but this is one of those situations. We saw it last year a couple of times in that record-breaking season, and here it is again here with TD9. Meanwhile, we have a couple of other systems that could develop as they move on to the west with time. Well, this one will. This one's not going to be an issue. In fact, it's starting to diminish. It had its opportunity, but doesn't look like it's going to develop, at least what it looked like the last couple of days. None of these systems are of any consequence to land areas right now, so just something to mention in passing. In the Pacific, we have Tropical Storm Nora, and here are the key messages and the different forecast parameters. Could be a problem, maybe hurricane conditions for parts of southwest Mexico. We'll look at this closer in just a moment on our interactive tracking map. So here is the afternoon satellite animation from Tropical Tidbits. There's Nora in the eastern Pacific. Here's TD number 9. Here's just some general storminess over the vicinity of Florida and the southeast coastal waters. And then the one system out in the Atlantic, the other system, I forget which one is which in terms of the invest numbers, so much going on. But this is the one that is of the utmost importance right now. But we don't want to discount Nora over here. Again, it could come up and be a problem with impacts for coastal Mexico pretty soon here over the next couple of days. Looking at the different areas of vorticity, this is again a great tool to show us the structure of our players. Here's TD number 9. Generally a rounded appearance to it. This will get even more pronounced over time. This is kind of an odd shape for a tropical storm in the vorticity field with this weird dark area to the north. I can't recall that I've seen anything like that before, but okay, I guess there's always a first. And then here's the energy and vorticity associated with the system out in the Atlantic. Not really going to be a problem. More than likely, if this develops, it'll head off and eventually turn out to sea, but you never know. We watch these things until they go away from us or they dissipate. I don't know what's beeping at me. I don't remember having my iPhone turned on. Whatever. So let's keep on moving. Close-up satellite animation courtesy of the weathernerds.org site. Weathernerds.org, a satellite animation, the visible satellite this afternoon, and a lot of lightning, a lot of heavy rain in the northern portions of the system. It's in its formative stages right now. Southerly flow coming over Jamaica, so I'm betting there's a lot of heavy rain. Not a lot of lightning. In fact, none really showing up in the detection system from the GOES 16 satellite, which is able to pick out all this lightning. That's what all these little yellow specks are. But the center of circulation, if I had to guess, somewhere in here, getting better organized on its way northwest across the Caribbean in some of the warmest and deepest water, where that warm water extends very deep, high upper ocean heat content values, and the upper level winds are going to become increasingly favorable. It's a moist environment. Basically, it is all systems go for this to strengthen. This is not like Henri, where there was uncertainty in the intensification. Henri was over in the northwest Atlantic, leaving the Gulf Stream and headed towards cooler waters in a different environment. This is in a place in the Atlantic Basin where hurricanes are known to rapidly intensify. Not necessarily right now because it's still getting its act together, but once it gets into the Gulf of Mexico, maybe even before it reaches western Cuba, assuming that it does, it could really start to get its act together. So do not downplay this one, and no more of this, wake me up when the real hurricanes show up and all of that nonsense. This is the real one coming right here. All of the guidance, it is unanimous, is developing this into a significant hurricane. The guesswork is going to be how strong and where, and then what the impacts are going to be. And those impacts are all going to be up in the very high category. If you had to put a category on all of these outside of the Saffir-Simpson scale, let's put that aside for a second, I would say this will have enough that it would be basically a 5 in my book. A Cat 5 type storm surge is possible. Possibly Cat 5 type winds. And I'm not talking about the Saffir-Simpson scale. You want to assign a number to something, if that's how you have to reconcile things, the slow movement of it, it's not going to just be racing through, could dump a lot of heavy rain. That could be catastrophic as well. So in my book, this has the potential to be a catastrophic event, even if it does not fit into the traditional Saffir-Simpson hurricane damage potential scale, which is based on the damage potential and the wind that would cause that damage. It says nothing about storm surge. It tells us nothing about inland flooding, river flooding, and that kind of stuff. So this is loaded for bear. It really is. And I know there's a lot of people that say, well, you know, the hurricane season's been anemic. I'm going to wait. Come on, we've been through this before. You know it can happen, especially in this part of the Gulf. And I'm here to convince you to take action and the reasons why. All right? So let's move on past the satellite animation and look at some of the parameters here that could seriously affect this to where it could strengthen in a really, really big way. First of all, most of the Atlantic basin, as you can clearly see, is running above normal. This is the anomaly chart. So these are departures from about the 30-year average. And anything on the right-hand side is warmer. And most of the Gulf of Mexico here, as you can see, is warmer than average, especially the northern Gulf. You know, we're talking in some cases maybe a half a degree to a degree Celsius, maybe warmer than that, above the long-term average. So that's one thing going in its favor. The Gulf is always warm. Now, this year, it's warmer than it should be. So you got to add that to it. These are the actual sea surface temperatures, not departures. And this is in degrees Celsius. There's 30 Celsius, which is about 85, 86 degrees, something like that, Fahrenheit. There's 30 Celsius. So this is going to come across and move up into the general vicinity of this area over very, very warm surface water, and then encounter even warmer water from there, 31 Celsius, right up to the coast of Louisiana, parts of the Mississippi Sound, and that is fuel at the surface. But I am most concerned with this. When I see this right there, that is literally a bullseye for rapid intensification and the possibility that this becomes a very significant and intense hurricane. What is that? That is upper ocean heat content measured by satellite and different methodologies, and it's at the top of the scale. It might even be close to being off the scale. It's at the top of the scale. This is high octane Gulf of Mexico. It's probably based on the loop current that comes up through here. This water is circulating, it's moving, it's deep. That warm water goes very, very deep. So you have all this energy available when what will eventually be Ida, I guess I should have brought that up, the name will be Ida, IDA, when soon to be Ida encounters that. And in fact, it'll very likely be following this channel of very warm water on its way in to somewhere around here, probably. This is very concerning. There's no getting around this. You know, and when I show you the upper environment that this is going to be having with it, you know, there's very little to stop this from reaching maximum potential intensity. You know, and so I'm going to be honest with you, do not be surprised if this is yet another Category 5 hurricane in the Gulf of Mexico. That is different, make no mistake, that is different than me saying I think it's going to be a Category 5. I am saying the environment is there, and we know the limitations of intensity forecasting, the computer guidance, mankind trying to interpret that. Look at the overall pattern, look at what's in front of us. It's not late in the season, there's not a big cold front coming, there's not a bunch of dry air around. Yes, there could be some mitigating factors that show up, but the overall guidance suggests, and then the background state, that this could reach close to the MPI, or the maximum potential intensity, and we get a Category 5 hurricane out of it, if you want to look at categories, if that's what it takes to get your attention. But it doesn't take a Cat 5 to cause tremendous damage from surge throughout this area. You all know that. You should know that if you've lived there, anytime at all. If you're brand new to the area, well, this is going to be a big wake-up call for you. So this area of upper ocean heat content, very, very concerning, as Ida to be will cross that and probably take full advantage. So let's look at the forecast here from one perspective. This is the GFS operational from 12Z today. There's a whole bunch of different models. You guys know that by now. Most of you should know that. So I'm going to look at it from the GFS perspective, and I'm going to show you a couple of different things, and then we're going to move on. All right? This will explain why I think this could really become strong and where it might end up. So first of all, looking at the overall pattern and the background, again, 850 millibars, that's about 5,000 feet in the atmosphere. The atmosphere is made up of layers. There's the vorticity signature, that's the fingerprint of Nora. That is the fingerprint of TD9, soon to be Ida. It's interesting, this little weakness right here kind of moved through, gave some squally weather to Florida. I believe that has helped to sort of undermine the ridge through here, kind of shave it off a little bit, like you're shaving down an ice sculpture or a piece of wood to make it fit somewhere. You keep sanding it down, so it finally fits. It was just enough of a little bit of a piece of energy here that moved through, that has cut this ridge off just enough that we're starting to see that more northward and eastward track, as opposed to coming across the Yucatan and into Texas or Mexico. I don't think this is going to happen. I mean, it could. Again, that's not the same as saying, I guarantee it won't. I don't believe it will. It would be a big model bust if it did. And so our focus is really from Mobile Bay over to Sabine Pass, in my opinion, right now. And that makes sense. That's generally where the cone of uncertainty is, so forth and so on. So let's take a look at the 850 level of the atmosphere, 5,000 feet, and what happens. Look at the structure of it. Focus there. Just want to make sure you know what you're looking at. That's what we want to watch, right there, right off the coast of Jamaica. And this is valid basically this evening. So as we go through time, this will be late tonight, early tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, Easter time. It's approaching the Isle of Youth there. It gets real close, making landfall perhaps. This could be well on its way to being a hurricane by this time, tomorrow afternoon. Crosses over Cuba, and you can tell the orientation of the ridging through here, all through, this is the big subtropical ridge that we talk about, these height lines in here. That's the ridge, that's the soon-to-be, in this case, hurricane. And how much this gives and flexes, ebbs and flows, will determine where our system ends up. And so there it is, going on 42 hours, finally 48 hours. This is Saturday morning. By this time, it'll have everybody's attention for sure. And then Saturday afternoon, it's really intense in the modeling there, a very well-developed, intense hurricane, no doubt about it. And look, it is currently passing over at that point. You look at the lat long that Levi has built into this mapping system, and the Dr. Cowan, I should say, the coding that he's done. It's real nice to be able to get your lat long. So we'll call it 27 and just round it up to 89. 27 north, 89 west. Let's go back to this. That is about 89 and 27 right there. It would be located right in there early Saturday morning, right over that bullseye. So that's very concerning. It could be rapidly intensifying all the way through this time period. And then the GFS has it making landfall late Sunday afternoon in southeast Louisiana, and then it doesn't really move very fast. It does get inland as a slow mover, relatively speaking. We've seen it move slower, but then it just kind of stops. And I won't say stops, but that's a slow mover there. You see that? And so the rain threat over Mississippi, the Mississippi River Valley, that is potentially a huge problem. We're going to have to address that later. These systems don't stop when they reach the coast. And we saw that with Henri. That no, the storm surge didn't pan out the way I thought it would. No, the wind wasn't as strong. But we still have at least $4 billion worth of damage from the flooding. Why? Because Henri didn't stop when it reached the coastline. It dropped below hurricane intensity. A lot of people are like, whatever. But all the people that have flood claims, believe me, they're not saying, whatever. They've probably got some 4-letter words they're saying instead. Seriously, this is not going to quit when it hits the coast. So this is going to be a problem in interior Mississippi, possibly Louisiana, Alabama, Arkansas. We're going to need to talk about that in the days ahead. So let me back this up and show you what it looks like at 72 hours out. Right there. So 72 hours out at the 5,000 foot level. Now let's look at it from the 200 millibar level, way up at the outflow level, like the top of it, where the wind should spread out. What we're looking for is, does the wind spread out uniformly? Does it have these channels along the edges to kind of funnel that air away? We call those outflow channels. And let's look at the upper air environment. Forget whether or not there's a hurricane potentially there. What is the environment like? Well, and just so happens, in this case, there will be a hurricane there, almost certainly. So this is 200 millibars, same model, GFS. There's our system down at the surface low, the MSLP, or the mean sea level pressure. That's where it is down there. Okay, so you see that, so you can see how they're kind of in tandem. Move this on out to that 72-hour point right there. 72 hours out, it is located within this anticyclonic area right here with this tremendous outflow channel right there. So the air is able to go out. It's coming out this way with an outflow channel, coming out on this side, and very, very important to note, the circulation of the hurricane itself reaches all the way up to the 200 millibar level. Let's look at this really closely. I'm going to pull this graphic out using, this should work. Now let's zoom in on it. So all of these wind barbs right here, these arrows are flowing clockwise. This is the big anticyclone sitting on top of it. So this is the very favorable environment that it sits in. This, however, is counterclockwise. See? Right here? That's all counterclockwise. That is the circulation of the hurricane itself in the modeling, reaching all the way up to the 200 millibar level. When you see that, that is a big deal. So the favorable environment is there. This tremendous outflow channel is very concerning. You'll see it. It'll be this big fanning out. We know what it looks like. You've seen it before. And there's no big trough or upper level winds. They're way up here in Arkansas to come in and shear this thing. And so not much to stop it that I can see. There's always something that, oh, that was unexpected. But so far, it looks like this is poised to become a potential major, major hurricane in the Gulf of Mexico. How are we going to cover it? You know me by now, and if you're brand new, here you go. I cover hurricanes in person. I don't chase them. You don't chase hurricanes. If you chase them, you're left too late. You go and you intercept them, but that's not sexy enough for people on TV and whatever else. Hurricane interceptors. They're called hurricane chasers, and that's fine. Whatever moniker people want to use, I'm fine with it. Our coverage is unlike anything else on the entire internet or in all of television. Now, truth be told, we do work with the Weather Channel. I don't work for them. I work with them, and we share our coverage technology with the Weather Channel. That's our exclusive media outlet globally. But there's a limitation. You know this. Television is generally one way, and you can watch one screen with little embedded screens in there, the picture-in-picture. They do as fine a job probably of anybody in the world, but even television has its limitations. The internet was built for our kind of coverage, and we have pioneered this going back to 2005. Ironic, isn't it? Yes, it is, for a lot of reasons. So what do? HurricaneTrack.com has this wonderful crowd-funded portion that we have teamed up, using the advantages of Patreon, not officially associated with them. That's who we're using as our crowdfunding mechanism, linking it in, that's what I should have said, linked with Patreon and our HurricaneTrack Insider site. You got to have a name for everything. Premium services, exclusive, plus, there's Disney Plus, Apple Plus, whatever. Ours is called HurricaneTrack Insider because we take you inside. You track it, we take you there. That's the slogan. So we've tied it in with Patreon. What is Patreon? It is a crowd-funded site or crowdfunding site and app that you select a membership level, you become part of it, and you shape the future. It is not a subscription. It is more of a cooperative. What do you get? Well, you log in through the homepage of HurricaneTrack right there with your username from Patreon, the same email address that you would sign up with Patreon. You log in here, and then you go to the homepage. And here we have our little chat, our own chat, our video that populates here when stuff's happening, and links up at the top to all of the coverage that we provide. What is that? Well, we have this awesome interactive tracking map. You can zoom in, see what's going on. Everything's clickable, and it's just incredible. This was designed by one of our patrons over in the UK. You can turn on the different assets that we have. These are all of our permanent cameras. These are from patrons that live all around the country. These are real people that have put cameras up. This is Howard's camera over in Bermuda, as an example. And look at that. Let's get rid of the base map. What a beautiful day in Bermuda. This just gives you an idea. You understand? This is what the crowdfunding does. When we go down, my team and I, to the Gulf Coast down here, wherever this makes landfall, we're going to populate it with a bunch of cameras. I'm taking everything that I've got. There's the potential, if everything works well, that we could have 20 live camera systems running, several of them with weather data coming from the camera unit box. We use these little Kestrel systems and a Raspberry Pi to transmit pressure information, temperature, humidity, and dew point as well, and 3 complete weather stations. What's that mean? That's 3 weather stations that have an anemometer, a wind speed indicator, and these are top of the line. These are not hobby level. These are the same anemometers that the tornado chasers use in the hardcore research. They're used on the hurricane buoys. They're accurate. They are reliable. They are a scientific instrument. And you know what? All 3 of them, $1,800 each roughly, were crowdfunded. They were gifted to the project by people like you. All right? That's how we do this. So we're going to set all this up. You'll have access to it. You can change the background of the map to a dark color, whatever you want to do. You can turn on different grid lines, storm surge watches and warnings, which aren't up yet. The warnings that come out like this for Cuba, you can turn that on and off. See? It's amazing, and nobody else has anything like this. Then there's the camera wall, what we call our digital dashboard, a little thumbnail version of everything. All of our permanent cameras are running right now, and I mean, you can even just mouse over them. How freaking cool is that? All right, and then the digital dashboard, this is 8 now. Cornelius, our programmer on the back end, he's going to have to add a whole bunch more. And this is a live look at Freeport, Texas. Yeah, we're like, okay, just in case. This is from over in the Port Aransas area, Mr. Campbell over there, William Campbell, if you don't mind me using your full name. So, you know, my tweet from earlier, all the stuff I'm packing up, this is what we do. Nothing else like it. So you're buying into the future of this. You want me there. Seriously, we got all this stuff. If you're going to have a bad hurricane, you want somebody like me and our little enterprise here to go set this stuff up so we can see what happens. We will have the live feeds. We will have GoPros backing them up, which became extremely important in the wake of Hurricane Michael for a lot of legal reasons, helping homeowners to deal with insurance issues. We will do the same thing here for eventually Hurricane Ida. How do you get to it? You go to patreon.com/HurricaneTrack. You can go to the homepage of HurricaneTrack.com. You can just click on that banner right there, that little ad, and boom, it'll take you to the Patreon landing page, and you can sign up. And that's how you become part of it. I hope that you, if you do sign up, that you're able to stick around year-round and help develop the future of it. We cover winter storms as well, starting to do stuff in Tornado Alley, taking this technology and putting it to use out there, immersing you from the point of view of a virtual storm chaser, is what I like to think of it as, with the weather data to back it up as well, so that it contributes to the greater good, it contributes to the science, it helps emergency managers, it helps the media, and it helps you. At least you get to see what's happening, and you're connected in a way that you just cannot do through traditional social media, where there's a lot of hype and a lot of look at me and all the likes and clicks and views. I don't care about that. I want to cover this the best that I possibly can. This is why I'm here. It's what I was put on this earth to do from a career perspective anyway. The other part's being a family man. And I hope that you will are in the position to take advantage of this, become a part of it, join the group, and you'll see how incredibly valuable it is as this system closes in. All right? So my plans will be to leave here more than likely in the morning, maybe late tonight, but I would like to sleep one more night at the house here, and then hit the road tomorrow for Gulfport, Mississippi. I don't know where this is going to end up. That's just going to be the starting point. Yes, it might be home base. We will see. Don't read too much into that. So I'll leave tomorrow morning. I'll have the stream running on Saturday once we have everything up and running, and we'll have the vehicle cam going. You know me, I'll put updates out. I'm on podcast. Wherever you get your podcast, it's called Hurricane Season, the podcast. I'll update that in the morning as well. All right. Hey, look, as always, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it very much. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Those are our three main social media outlets. It's good to have you on your side. I am Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com. I'll talk to you again tomorrow.